Yeah, thank you, and thank you for the organizers for having me on board here. So, I have been listening to the panel presentations and what we have been talking all about from a core logistics point of view or servicing point of view. But me from a main part of the business, for me consumer is very important. And when I look back from the goalpost, right now in the industry where we are into a selling of the finished product of construction chemicals, there are three domains in which there is a clear competition. One is the market share. Every brand or every big player wants to retain their market share, and because a lot of new entrants are coming. Second, there is a pressure on cost because ultimately the profitability has to be there. So there the role of trustable partners become very important. And another thing is in terms of cost and satisfying your customer, you can't compromise on quality, and we have to understand that raw material, chemical is the basic raw material, and even if there some dilution or something is happening, your end product, and there are a lot of challenges. So there's a lot of innovation that is happening on daily basis on what are the different models we can use to optimize cost. Now, if you have trusted partners with whom you are working with a longer period of time, you can actually go back to them and tell we want to do this, and jointly we can do a pilot for that. But if that association is not there, that becomes a challenge. I give you an example. There is a category in construction chemical called admixtures, which are made by PC, polycarboxylate ether. Now, there if we send the metal in barrels, so one barrel of 200 liters costs some 600, 700 rupees, and then you have to bring back the barrel. But if we use, the containers which are used to supply steel containers, which are used to supply, say, milk, now those 5 liter, 5 tonner or 9 tonner, now there my logistic partner has to invest on this basis. Yes, it is a like pilot we are doing, and then he is going to get business. So there, I think the credibility and trust that we have developed over a period of time, that comes into picture. Second, now all the organizations are moving into a different domain where they are trying to. So 3PL is one way, but other thing is where they are trying to advise their partners who have been there in the newer or innovative practice. For example, there are a lot of transit losses that happen due to the surfaces are not even. So uneven surface and there is a transit loss. It is a loss both on the transporter if I debit him, or it is a loss on me. So because he is my partner, it is both this. So there are trainings which are being conducted. What sort of roads how you can keep take care of your vehicles of heat maintenance. This is the area where manufacturing companies never thought of in the past, but now they are realizing that if the transporter loses money, if the logistic party loses money, ultimately that is going to get passed on us. So I think there the role of relationship and a trusted training partner or the logistic partner comes into this. I think that's
Okay, so I fully agree with you. What you said, like with a small pilot type thing has to be done and then can be taken it forward. But in few cases it is possible, in few cases it is not possible. Specifically in the industry where I am working, we are into helium business. So in the earlier panel, we discussed a lot about the safety of the material while on the road. So here we are also having a time limit because the tank which we are using are ISO tanks, where inside there is a helium, then there is a vacuum, then there is a liquid nitrogen, then there is a vacuum, that kind of ISO tank we use. And there is a time limit of the transportation. If we don't supply within that particular time limit, then we lost in the product. So we have this kind of agreements with the transporters. Every day we are having fights with the transporters. I fully agree with you what you say. But yeah, it depends on the type of product in which you are dealing.
yes. And second, because I say chemical being part of any product that we see, even if it is food product, there is some sort of which are not hazardous, which can be food grade chemicals, and then there is something called paint. There are also chemicals. If they are not being handled properly, so your finished product, activity becomes a challenge. So I think there is a complete value chain. And second, right now what all manufacturing companies are looking at, there how they can reduce the traveling time between the plant and the raw material also. One is the end consumer and the plant. But now it is the other way around because they are, so one is chemical, then there is a packaging. So packaging is at some, so classic example I'll give in that in paint industry, like Asian Paints, Patan, their manufacturing plant and their, the plant which is manufacturing packaging is door to door. Right. So that way a lot of, innovations are happening.